Hello and welcome back. In this video we're now going to cover low levels of sodium or hyponatremia. Again, that sodium is that association I make. How that happens, again, you've got one of two ways. Make sure you distinguish these between the two videos because I've flipped this now. All right. Last with hypernatremia we were talking about gaining salt. All right, now we're talking about gaining more water than salt, okay? Or loss of more salt than water, okay? So what we're talking about, again, at a cellular level, right? We've got extracellular, intracellular, we're talking about water, all right? And we're talking about sodium. So in this case now, we've got higher levels of sodium inside of the cell as opposed to outside of the cell, all right? Really, primarily what we're talking about, although, is you've got more water outside of the cell that's essentially diluting that sodium. So what's going to happen, the water is going to want to move inside of the cell. All right, that's going to cause swelling. All right, extracellularly, there are some places within the body that will absorb excess water. The areolar connective tissue is great at doing that. All right. But there is a limit to how much water can be in the extracellular space. All right. So again, we're disrupting that balance between the intracellular compartment and the extracellular compartment. All right. Water is moving across the membrane now into cells. As our mechanism, what can cause this to happen? If there are high levels of antidiuretic hormone, that's going to cause the body to absorb more water from the kidney. All right. Right. Drinking too much water. All right. Many, many years ago, there was a radio contest where they were giving away something like an Xbox or a Wii or something around Christmas where everyone was having a hard time getting one for their kids. So the radio was having a contest. And what they did for their contest was the person who could drink the most water without peeing or getting rid of the water won. Okay? That created a dangerous situation, and they actually had people, healthcare professionals calling in, asking them to stop because drinking water without removing water from the system can cause hyponatremia. And in terms of our two, hypo versus hypernatremia, all right, having low levels of sodium can result in death much more quickly than having high amounts of sodium, all right? So the body has a harder time dealing with the increase in fluid in this case, okay? Fresh water near drowning, because that fluid is taken in, all right? And this is one of those things that can happen later, all right, which is why drowning victims or near drowning victims need to be monitored, because the fluid they took in may take a bit before you see the clinical manifestations associated with hyponatremia, okay? Renal disease, all right, can also contribute to low sodium levels because the kidney is very important in balancing water and sodium in the body. High levels of aldosterone can also result in decreased sodium and therefore increased water, increased fluid retention. Cirrhosis of the liver. Corticosteroids are another one that can cause imbalance. And related to that, Cushing's disease can also result in water being retained or not eliminated, and therefore sodium levels drop because of the increase in water. Okay? So really what we're talking about, with this one, we're talking about fluid excess. Whereas with hyper or high sodium, there was a fluid deficit. Okay? So I'll put them over here. Our clinical manifestations associated with this, okay? If you've got too much water, you're going to have swelling, all right? Now, I talked about the swelling at the cellular level, right? But you can have swelling at the tissue level that results in edema, all right? So the tissue holds on to the water, all right? Typically, you're talking about here is going to be a rapid weight gain because of the increase in fluid, all right? Bulging veins, all right, or, the fontanelle in infants can be a great way to monitor fluid levels in infants. If that fontanelle is a little decreased, it would indicate dehydration. If it's convex, if it's bulging, that would indicate too much fluid, okay? That can be an indication of hyponatremia, okay? Along with that, because you've got more fluid, there can be fluid that accumulates in the pleural cavity, in the lung, that can result in shortness of breath, okay? Now with hyponatremia, the other thing that goes along with the clinical manifestations are going to be based on neurological changes. So changes associated with the brain, all right? When the brain swells, this creates a particularly critical situation because your brain is encased within bone, all right? That bone doesn't move, but if your brain is increasing in size, that is going to put pressure on the brain. You're going to start inhibiting brain function. Can be headaches, can be confusion, you can get nausea associated with it. And again, much like hypernatremia, can lead to seizures and death, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your attention.